that was perfectly acceptable, right? We're not going to do any of the I said good morning. Show of hands, who here has seen some variant of this presentation before? Okay. How many first timers? Cool. All you first timers, this is how you keep in touch with all the other people who just raised their hand. So this is the presentation about the Wi-Fi Pros Slack. I start off with who the admins of the Slack group are. It's myself, May in the back, who we raised your hand, and Phil, are you in here? Phil, way over here on the left-hand side. Now, none of us look like this anymore, but you certainly know how to get a hold of us, hopefully. If you have any issues or you want to talk to us about anything at all, right? That's how you get a hold of us. First things first, what the heck is Slack? Well, it's a set of proprietary cloud-based collaboration tools. This is pulled straight from the website if you don't know what it is. If you have gray in your beard, it's a lot like IRC, right? Channels, words, people, that's about it. Clients available, of course, for all platforms, so you don't have to have like a device that's, some strange device that won't ever actually be able to connect. But sort of the point of the Slack group is for us to have unencumbered conversations, right? The whole 280 character limitation. It is built by way of channels, much like an IRC client would be, or much like an IRC chatbot would be. Faraz, are you in here? You're welcome. Every once in a while, the admins will get off their lazy butts and do something like create channels for you. And so Faraz has a new one for Open Wi-Fi. Congratulations. So why? Why did we create this Slack group? Well, May and I were sick and tired of the Twitter infighting and sort of the shots across the bow and the 140, 280 character, can't get a full conversation out. And so what we want to do is we wanted to create a place for Wi-Fi professionals to go so that we could have conversations, like well thought out, typed out conversations. And so that's what we did. What makes it so special is you all. Right, it is for the Wi-Fi professionals community. If you're in Wi-Fi basically at all, you're allowed in, and you have a pulse, right? Who runs it? Obviously, we talked about Phil, May, and myself. And I think the last one was who can join. Obviously, anybody can join. Getting to join is, of course, hopefully what the point of the presentation is. Keith gives us a little bit of time every WLPC so that we can share some stats. This is for you guys, right? This is a public Slack instance, so we try to put up numbers that detail how many users, growth, and things along those lines. So as of Tuesday, we have about 1,600 users, which is a good clip. And then you can see, obviously, as they grow throughout the year, as messages are sent and how space is consumed. So pretty heavily used Slack group. It's been around for a while. Excuse me. Weekly active users. This is interesting from the beginning of the Slack group. And what we've been able to do is highlight some peaks and valleys in the overall trending. These are winter breaks, right? We can see where people just sort of fall off. Happens every single year. The usage basically goes to nothing last week of December. This one is the WLPC effect. I don't know what happened over here along around 21, but there's no spike, so who knows what happened then, right? Animation. Where people are reading, this is the lifetime stats of the Slack group. This is where eyeballs are reading messages in public channels versus private channels, and this is where people are sending messages. Some interesting stats here is that if we go back to the beginning, or back to this one, 89, almost 90% of the views are in public channels for reads, and almost 50% of sent messages are in direct messages. I'm not sure what that means, but that's about the only stat I can pull. So there you have it. How can I join? Well, we try not to allow proxy invites. What are proxy invites? They're, hey, can you send an invite to Tim for me? No. If you have ever asked us to invite somebody else, you've invariably run into this. We really, really, really like to make sure that whomever wants to come and join is actively inquiring to us. That way they can select their email address, all those things. We have some, the Slack group, Slack organization says use your work email address. We don't recommend using your work email address because your work email address might change. So some things along those lines. Contact May, myself, Phil. Reach out to us over Twitter or over X. Email us. This information is information that I would like you to share. This is how, when people want to come into the Slack group, this is what we want you to tell them, right? DM May, DM Sam, DM Phil, email. Please don't share the following information. This is for WLPC attendees only. And get your cameras ready. This URL is an auto-join URL. You can just go to the address and you can sign up. Or you can use the QR code. Haha. No, I'll put it back up here a second. So this is the join code, and it'll be on the last slide, so if you miss it, that's okay. We do have a couple of rules of engagement, right? Just like everybody else, it's basically the don't be an asshole rule, please. If you run into any issues with harassment or anything along those lines, contact one of the admins. We like to just make sure that things continue to run smoothly. So. Vendors, there are a couple of vendor channels, like there'll be a Cisco channel, a Ruckus channel. When you see those vendor channels, understand that there are vendors in those channels. We try and corral them into their own little spaces. They're not necessarily paid for vendor channels, but we wanted to make sure that if somebody worked for a vendor that we sort of make sure that they had a cordoned off area that they could go, not spam the general channel. Thank you. There's your QR code. That's it, I'm done.